Hello watch aficionados, I hope you're all doing very well. In case you're wondering what does my t-shirt say, it says this guy looks amazing. Apologies for that, it's just one of the only t-shirts I had remaining from the wash. Today I wanted to go over the Rolex Explorer 2, the 16570, that reference. I wanted to present a review on it, what I think of it, why I bought it, why I love it so much. And I actually really think this Rolex deserves a lot of time. There's just something about it which I can't explain, but for some reason it's stealing my wrist from all my other watches. It's on my wrist pretty much most of the time. Whether it's because it's got a few marks on it already, because it's a 2007, and I know that I'm quite sort of destructive with my arms at times, and I don't care as much, whether it's because of that or whether it's because of the comfort, I don't know. Guess I'll explore it during my presentation. So a sort of brief history about the Explorer. I guess it was designed by Rolex, the Explorer 2 that is. It was designed by Rolex after the Explorer 1 for, I guess, the explorers, the people who go and explore stuff, go to caves, go cave diving, wherever they might go, stay in caves, off the beaten track, trekking, those types of things. Maybe I think that's the reason why it hasn't got a rotating bezel, you know, keep sort of particles and dust and stand out of it. This particular 16570, this has had a production, I think, of around 22 years, 23 years. So it's been around for some time, but I think only the last few years it's been commanding a lot of attention from sort of Rolex enthusiasts. And judging what I'm taking from the market, I think it's the white polar dial that's getting people's attention. There's also a black dial version of this, which is beautiful as well, with the red hour GMT hand popping nicely. But I think on the white dial, it looks truly supreme. So I just kind of picked it up maybe a couple of months ago. I noticed locally someone was selling it. They had some sort of papers with it, and I've kind of always wanted one. I've kind of looked around on Instagram and I've seen quite a few of them, and I've always secretly admired the Rolex Explorer 16570. I didn't know much about it, truth be told. Obviously, once I got it and once I was thinking of buying it, I found out that it was around for 22 years. It started its life in this particular reference with a caliber 3185 movement, and then at some stage during 2007 it had the 3186 movement introduced, and that took it until its lifetime expired, which was 2010. So sort of between 2007 and 2010 they manufactured these with a 3186 movement. You know, this particular one's got a red GMT hand. The Explorer 2s initially started, you know, the ones that are kind of known as the Steve McQueens and all that, they initially started with an orange hand, and I think that's what the 16570 attempts to kind of, you know, reintroduce, is that red-orange hand. But I think the new Rolex Explorer 2, as nice as it is and as comfortable as it is as well, I never went for it. It was almost my first Rolex, but my first Rolex, as some of you know, was a Hulk. But I did consider the Polar 216-570 at one point, but back then it just wasn't Rolex enough for me. And actually, that's what really appeals to me about this watch now. It's probably the least Rolex-looking watch that Rolex make. You know, people around me call it quirky, they call it cute, they call it like funny, they call it a toy watch, and I quite like that. I really like that you don't know what I'm wearing, that sort of understated look. Everyone knows what a Submariner is and all that, and you know I love the Submariner. I mean, I've just posted a review on a Submariner and me selling one. I love the Submariner. But sort of, why does this watch get most of my wrist time these days? Is it because it's new? Well, it's been 2 months now, and it's kind of a daily, weekly battle between this and the Sea Dweller 43 for my wrist. But this is just so comfortable. I mean, compare the Sea Dweller 43 and this weighs 124 grams. 124 grams. The Sea Dweller is 195 grams. It's almost 200 grams. It's almost twice the weight of this watch. 124 versus 195. It's like 80% extra. So it's a lot of additional weight with the Sea Dweller 43. Even a Submariner is 155 or 153 grams, so it's significantly weightier than this watch. Do I care that it hasn't got a glide lock? Not really. Not really. Sometimes I may notice that the 16570, it might be a little bit big on me if I'm in, like I said before, if I'm swimming in cold water or if I'm in a particularly cold room, maybe someone's left the AC on, 16, 17, then, it might kind of fall to the lower part of my wrist. But, in terms of build quality, obviously it's got hollow links. That's why it's a lot lighter than the new Rolexes, and it feels a lot lighter. But because of that, it's on my wrist more, and it's kind of opened my world now to semi-vintage watches. I'm considering them more and more than these kind of newer things, and it's so difficult to get a Rolex these days from the authorized dealer. It's kind of getting a bit frustrating and annoying, and you kind of lose respect for the brand when it's just like this. You just can't buy the watch. So, I mean, what else did I want to point out about it? I'll go into the internals of it, briefly, but in terms of what I wear it with, I'd wear it with anything. I would wear this watch with anything. I really don't care. I think it's about you, how you can wear your watch, and then, choose to do so. I mean, I wouldn't wear any watch with anything. For instance, I don't like Hublots. I don't like the way they look. I don't, when I'm in a meeting, I can't help but, when I'm in a meeting with someone who's wearing a suit and a Hublot, I can't help but just think less of the person a little bit, because you kind of maybe are new into watches, or you just don't know much about watches. Fair enough, some people don't really care that much. That's why we all have this thread channel to sort of talk about watches, because we're all trying to further our knowledge and, enjoy our passion. So if you are considering a Rolex Explorer 2, reference 16570, just note, I think they've been around since, I assume, 1988, and they stopped production in 2010. You can buy the Rolex Explorer 2, 16570, with two different calibers. One caliber was the 3185, that was around until 2007. Also in 2007, they launched the 3186 caliber. Also in 2007, they changed a small external design, and that was the engraving, the Rolex Rehort. So you get Rolex, Rolex, Rolex sort of going around the inside of the bezel. That was a change they did in 2007 to try and counterfeit, counteract counterfeit watches and stuff. But once you've seen enough counterfeit watches these days, you see that they can go pretty far with their detail. So if you are considering one, I highly recommend it. I think you're going to wear it a lot more than any of your other watches. If you really want one with a 3186 movement, to be safe, get a 2008 to 2010. That's pretty much 100%. That's 100% 3186 movement. If you, like me, found a 2007 and you want it with a 3186 movement, you have to look into things a little bit. So the first telltale sign that it might have a 3186 movement is that it will have the Rolex Rehort going around the inner ring. That's not 100% guaranteeing a 3186 movement. It suggests that it most likely does have a 3186 movement. They still had some 3185 movements with a Rolex Rehort. The second thing you'll do, you do a wiggle test on the watch. So basically, when you try and change the main hour, when you try to sort of work it around the clock, when you're changing the main hour, I think it's the main hour or the minute hand, I don't remember now. When you're changing the main hour, sometimes the red hour GMT hand will wiggle or move a little bit just when you're changing it. It will wiggle ever so slightly. If it wiggles, that's most likely a 3185 movement. If it doesn't wiggle, it's 95% chance it's a 3186 movement. So if it wiggles, 3185. If it doesn't wiggle, most likely a 3186 movement. So now that we've gone over the Rolex Rehort and the wiggle test, the third way to check which caliber you have, the 3186 or the 3185, is to try and change the hours, the standard hour. So you take out your crown. So one full crown twist on a 3185 movement will change this hour by around 5 to 6 hours. So it'll move 5 to 6 hours forward. One full crown twist on a 3186 movement will change the hour by about 8 to 9 hours. So if you're twisting and it's doing 8 to 9 hours and it's also got no wiggle, 3186. If you're twisting and it changes 5 to 6 hours, even if it passes the wiggle test, you probably just have a very good 3185. Obviously, the fourth test, the best test, is to just undo the case back, which I did at my Rolex authorized dealer. Just undo the case back and just have a simple look in terms of which movement you have in there. But you know, at 124 grams, this watch is just so light, and you know, because it's so light and I don't feel it, it's pretty much on my wrist all the time. And you know, I kind of do feel bad for the Sea Dweller 43, which gets a lot of wrist time as well. But this one is kind of with me all the time, and you know, I do like a good GMT hand or a good GMT movement, GMT complication. I do like it. It's pretty cool. It's a great function. I mean, apparently Rolex, when they designed the Explorer 2, it's because people spent a lot of time in dark places or in caves that they initially wanted them to know, you know, is it a 12-hour or 22 or 24-hour that you're looking at, so that you know whether it's 10 p.m. or 10 a.m. outside. That was the initial sort of reasoning behind Rolex adding the second hour hand and the markers on the bezel. But what happened is that they actually added a GMT complication towards the end, so you don't have to be an explorer. You can be a worldwide traveler now, and you can really use this watch, you know, in various applications. But anyway, I just kind of wanted to, you know, go over the 16570. It's a very popular watch now. It's becoming a cult watch. It's really in demand. So I kind of bought it at the right time. I've had it for 2 months. You know, I've been recently selling my sub. I sold it. And quite a few people asked me, "Oh, do you have another watch?" And I said, "Well, I do have some watches." And they said, "Oh, do you by any chance have an Explorer 2, a Polar 16570?" And I said, "Yeah, I do, but it's not for sale." And they found black ones, but they just don't want the black ones. They want the white ones. So it's an interesting kind of read, and interesting what's going on with the 16570. I was watching a YouTube channel earlier. A chap was answering questions regarding the 16570, and he mentioned that it's really going up slowly because of the size. It's a 40mm or 39-40mm. It's very comfortable. The new ones just don't really seem to be catching on. I just don't think people want bigger dials. You know, the new one's 42mm. The Sea Dweller is 43mm, and a lot of people are I think a lot of people are staying away from the Sea Dweller. They want it, but they're kind of staying away, or they're not sure about it, because it's a hefty watch, the Sea Dweller. It's a hefty watch, the new one. It really is. It's okay if it's your only watch and you just wear it. You don't know any better. You don't know if it's heavy. You don't know if it's light. But when it's part of a rotation, the Sea Dweller 43, you do notice it's a heavy watch. When you have this as part of rotation, you realise how light and comfortable it is. So that's kind of all I wanted to add on my 2-month ownership on an Explorer 2, reference 16570, with the caliber 3186 movement. Really enjoying it. I can't say enough good things about it. It's also my most accurate watch in my collection. It's my most accurate watch, and I was surprised by that. And once I found out that it's my most accurate watch, I stopped giving a damn about new movements, new calibers, new this and that. I stopped caring. I was like, what are we caring for? You know, a watch that's 11 years old is more accurate than my, 2017 Sea Dweller 43. I mean, what are we worrying about, really? But thanks very much for watching, guys. I appreciate your time. Always look forward to decent feedback in the comment section. I try to interact as much as I can. Thanks very much. Have a great day.